Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel. We'll be talking today on reading of an X-ray chest regarding lung fields, and hilum. Again, to declare, I'm not a radiologist. I'm a general physician, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible so that you can identify very easily some of the conditions which are very common in your everyday practice. So we'll be talking on hilum and lung fields. Now, whenever you look at the lungs, it is not only the hilum and lung fields. Position of trachea also is very important to identify the lung pathophysiology. Then you have to look at the lungs, lung fields, whether there is opacity, radiolucency. You look at the hilum, position of hilum, overlapping signs, whether there is oligemia or congestion or we call plethora. Then look at the costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle and dome of diaphragm, and even Silhouette with mediastinum. All this you have to look together whenever you want to look at the lungs. But in today's we'll be talking only on two parts, that is trachea we have discussed separately, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle and diaphragm we have discussed separately. So today I'll be talking only on hilum and lung fields, which shows you opacity, radiolucency or any other variety. Now normally when you look at the X-ray chest, there are a lot of things which you can see, right from clavicle, scapula, breast shadows, right costophrenic angle, diaphragm, right atrium, this is a right atrial border, right pulmonary artery, right hilum, then medial end of the clavicle, these are the posterior ribs, these are clavicles, trachea, spinous process which you can see through the air in the tracheal shadows, then coracoid process of scapula, aortic arch, left hilum, left atrial border, left ventricle, then right cardiophrenic angle, left cardiophrenic angle, then left dome of diaphragm, gastric bubble, left costophrenic angle, etc. All these structures you can see, and this will be the area which will be covered by lungs. So this will be the area we'll be looking at. So this is the area which we look at. But if you look at the border, these are the mediastinal border, right mediastinal border, left mediastinal border. This is a dome of diaphragm, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle, and this is a chest wall. So we have to look at all these structures. So you have to look at the soft tissue shadows like breast, supraclavicular area, axilla, tissue all along the side of the breast tissue, etc. All those you will have to look at. And then we look at the hilum part. This is a hilum. This is the right hilum. This is the left hilum. Left hilum is little higher as compared to the right hilum. Then you look at the diaphragm. You look at the costophrenic angle. You look at all the borders of the lung and what is seen in this lung fields. So you look at all those things together. Clear? This is a breast shadow. Now, so when you look at the pleura, pleura you cannot identify separately, but pleura is here, both layers, visceral as well as parietal pleura. Now, if anything is there in between, it will produce either radiolucency or radio opacity, and try to identify that. This is lateral view. In lateral view, this will be the sternum, this will be the spine, this is a middle mediastinum, this is the anterior mediastinum, this is a superior, and this is posterior mediastinum. So, if you have got overlapping shadows, sorry, sorry, overlapping shadows. That shadow, if you want to differentiate whether it is in the anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum, or it is in the posterior mediastinum, you will have to identify by taking a sorry, lateral X-ray chest. If it is on the right side, right lateral. If it is on the left side, left lateral. And that will be the way it will help you out. If you want to identify something is there in the pleural cavity like fluid or fluid and air, you will have to take a right lateral or left lateral decubitus depending upon which side it is. So that will be the different X-ray which you will be taking when you are dealing with what we call as a lung fields pleura. So look at those particular things. This is diaphragm and this will be the pleural surface, and this will be the angle where the two layers of pleura will be there. So dome of diaphragm, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle and pleural space. And you will be also be able to see sometime the interlobar fissures if there is any abnormality in that. Below the diaphragm, look at the gastric bubble, air under the diaphragm, and in the neck, look for the soft tissue, cervical rib, etc. This is mediastinal border on the right side, this is mediastinal border on the left side. And this is in a lateral view, this is anterior mediastinum, this is middle, this is posterior, and above this line, this will be superior mediastinum. So try to look at this. This is the way it looks like. This is middle, this is anterior, this is superior, and this is posterior. And this will be the two fissure. This is oblique fissure, this is the another fissure. We call horizontal fissure. Now roughly if we say, you don't go exactly according to the fissure. If you draw a straight line at this particular level, this will be the zone which we call upper zone, this is middle zone, this is lower zone. So you can divide into three zones, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, roughly. And this is the most simple way. Otherwise, you will always have to take a lateral view to identify whether it is upper lobe, middle lobe, lower lobe, and on the left side lingular lobe, upper lobe, lower lobe, etc. So for that you will have to take, this is the roughly the way you divide, upper 1/3, middle 1/3, lower 1/3. So upper 1/3 is apices to the second rib anteriorly, this is the second rib anteriorly, and this is the fourth rib anteriorly, and below the fourth rib anteriorly. So this will be upper, middle and lower zone, and this is the best way to divide. This will be upper, this will be the middle, and ideally if you look in the lateral view, this will be the upper, this will be the middle, and this will be the right lower. So you will have to know where exactly the fissures are there. This is oblique fissure, this is horizontal fissure. So you will have to identify where the fissure lines is. This is left upper lobe, it is a very big, you can see it is quite big, and this is lower lobe, but lower lobe is more posterior. But in a PA view, it will be this much area will be covered, this is not covered. So you will have to identify, and lingular lobe will be close to the border of the left ventricle. Now we'll be looking at the hilum. What we look in the hilum? In the hilum, we look at the pulmonary artery vein and bronchi. This is composite of a hilum. Left hilum is higher by 1 to 2 centimeter above the above the right. You look at the size, shape, density, any additional shadow is seen in the hilum, and level. Now hilum will be pulled up because of collapse in the upper lobe, whether it is in the right side, right upper lobe, on the left side, left upper lobe. If it is pulled down, it is because of the lower lobe, right lower lobe on the right side, left lower lobe on the left side. So look at the position of the hilum. So that will help you out. Now look at the density and the pulmonary vascular markings. If pulmonary vascular markings are diminished, they are less prominent. We call that as pulmonary oligemia. And this will be classical seen in two commonest conditions, pulmonary stenosis, we call tight pulmonary stenosis, and in a case of a pulmonary embolism. In these two conditions, very frequently you will see pulmonary oligemia. In a pulmonary embolism, you will see Western hump signs and Hampton signs. Western green sign and Hampton signs. These two signs. In some other lecture we will be discussing. While in case of a collapse because of a tension pneumothorax, on the side of the collapse, you will not be able to see the pulmonary vascular markings, and that will also produce oligemia. So this will be the third condition we can call as pneumothorax. But you will have to see in a collapsed lung. In a collapsed lung, you will not be able to see any vascular markings. While vascular marking is become prominent, we call plethora, or we use the word congestion, or we call prominent. If it is so much enlarged so that it looks like butterfly, then it is called butterfly appearance or a bat wing appearance. And this will happen in a marked pulmonary hypertension resulting into acute left ventricular failure, or we call congestive heart failure, or acute pulmonary edema. Also you can see sometime in left to right shunt like ASD, VSD, PDA, and this particular can be very commonly seen in a valvular heart disease like, so you can have a left ventricular failure very commonly because of ischemic heart disease, hypertension, cardiomyopathy, dilated cardiomyopathy, etc. While in a congenital heart disease in ASD, VSD and PDA, because of increased blood flow into pulmonary circulation, you will get pulmonary congestion. Because of left to right shunt, blood from left side comes to the right side and it will go into pulmonary circulation producing pulmonary congestion. In a case of a MS, MR, AR, AS, there is increased pulmonary pressure. Because of pulmonary hypertension, there is a pulmonary congestion. Once in a while, in a case of an acute bronchitis, you can have little prominent vascular marking, but it is ideally not because of increased blood flow or increased congestion in a pulmonary vasculature. So try to differentiate those conditions. Now you can see this is a right hilum, this is a left hilum. It is roughly little higher as compared to, if you come look at this and if you draw a straight line here, it is little higher as compared to right hilum. So left hilum is 1 to 2 centimeter higher as compared to left hilum. Okay, so that will be there. Now this is the vascular markings. This is right pulmonary artery going to the lower lobe. This is upper lobe. So you can see the branches very clearly. And this will be the right atrium. This is pulmonary artery, main pulmonary artery. Now this will be seen in a angiography. This is seen in an angiography. You can see a catheter here, the dye is injected and you can see this clearly. And this is roughly, this is a right hilum, this is a left hilum. And this will be in a lateral view. This is a pulmonary artery, this is right ventricle, this is right ventricle, this is the posterior part is a left ventricle. So this is the left upper lobe bronchus, this is a right upper lobe bronchus, this is a left pulmonary artery, this is a lower lobe bronchus. If you can identify, well and good, you will see a scapula somewhere here. This will be the trachea which will be seen. This will be the trachea. And this is an aortic arch. So try to identify those structures. Now, if you look here, there is a mild increase in the cardiac size. Plus, if you look this, here, look this, there are diminished bronchovascular markings. Vascular markings are not so prominent. If you look in this, see this vascular markings. This is a pulmonary artery. And look here. they are less prominent. Such things you can get, we call oligemia in case of pulmonary stenosis. So in a case of a pulmonary stenosis, relatively the vascular markings in the lung fields will be markedly diminished. And because of pulmonary stenosis, we will get a right atrial enlargement and right ventricular enlargement. So if you get a right atrial enlargement with pulmonary hypertension and diminished vascular markings, it is in favor of pulmonary stenosis. Now if you look here, this is a pneumothorax and this is a collapsed lung. In a collapsed lung, hardly you can see a vascular marking. Is that clear? And this is after putting a chest tube. Now you can see a vascular marking clearly. So this can happen in a case of a tension pneumothorax. So this was a tension pneumothorax. The chest tube is put, lung expands. Now you can see clearly the vascular marking. Here you can't see a vascular marking at all. This is a collapsed lung. This is completely collapsed lung. So in a collapsed lung, you may not be able to see the vascular marking. Now opposite of that, if you look here, this is lot of congestion. This is lot of small opacities, congestion. And if along with that, if you see an increased heart size, cardiothoracic ratio is increased and there is a pulmonary congestion. And if you get a pleural effusion, bilateral costophrenic angle is obliterated, suspect congestive heart failure. So few findings you come across: prominent bronchovascular marking, increased heart size, obliteration of costophrenic angle, and along with that we'll show you, if you see a vascular marking prominent here in apical lobe, we call curly A lines, and if it is seen in a base, we call curly B lines. And sometimes even if you see the fluid level, fluid in a interlobar fissures, it is in favor of a congestive heart failure. So cardiomegaly, angle not clear, bronchovascular marking little prominent. You see a prominent line here, curly A lines, these are curly B lines. It will be in favor of a congestive heart failure. You can see these are curly A lines, these are curly B lines, angle is not so clear, little mild cardiomegaly and bronchovascular marking prominent, classical of congestive heart failure. Again, cardiomegaly, bronchovascular marking markedly prominent and it looks like a bat wing. So it is called bat wing appearance or butterfly appearance. So very characteristics. So bat wing appearance or a butterfly appearance. And that is a characteristic of what we call as a congestive heart failure. And reverse bat wing appearance. This is called reverse bat wing appearance. And that you can get in case of a chronic eosinophilic pneumonia. Very odd conditions. Once in a while, you might see such things. So remember that. Classical bat wing appearance, congestive heart failure. Reverse bat wing appearance in case of a chronic eosinophilic pneumonia. Now if you look here, there is a cardiomegaly. Angle is clear. There is a marked prominent pulmonary vascular markings. And there is a ALA also. Left atrium is also enlarged. And this is dilated pulmonary artery. And such things you will get in a case of a severe pulmonary hypertension. Very common in mitral heart disease. Mitral heart disease. You can see cardiomegaly, prominent. You can see this is the border of the heart. And there is a huge cardiomegaly. And this vascular marking are prominent or we call congestion. Vascular marking are prominent in congestion. Angle is seen here clearly. Here angle is little difficult to identify. This is congestive heart failure. You can see cardiomegaly clear cut. And with prominent vascular marking, suspect congestive heart failure. Angles are seen here. But if angles are obliterated, more in favor. And look for curly A lines, curly B lines. So these are in apex, curly A lines. In base if you see, curly B lines, and C lines they call, that is in center. Again, bat wing appearance, prominent, or you can call as a butterfly appearance. Again, cardiomegaly, bronchovascular marking prominent, angle not clear. Here also angle is not clear. There is an interstitial pulmonary edema, and you look here, this is a bat wing appearance. Characteristics. This is cardiomegaly with little prominent vascular markings. And enlarged view, if you look in this enlarged view, you will see a little lines in the base. This is we call curly B lines. This is because of interstitial pulmonary edema, and that is characteristic of congestive heart failure. There is one sign called as a hilum overlay sign, meaning when there is a mediastinal mass and you still see the hilar vessel through this mass, then you know that this mass does not arise from hilum. This is what is called hilar overlay sign. So remember, if there is a shadow, radiopaque shadow, and even through that shadow you see the hilar vessels, then that mass is not in the hilum, does not arise from hilum, and this is called hilum overlay sign. So do remember this. Is that clear? There are 4 T which makes anterior mediastinal mass: thymus tumors, teratomas, thyroid gland, we call thyroid goiter, and terrible lymphomas. So 4 T. So any one of these can produce hilar overlay sign. Now if you look here, there is a big shadow here, we call radiopaque shadow, and still you can see the hilar vessel clearly. So this is not arising from hilum. And in a lateral view, you can see the hilar vessel very clearly. Is it clear? And this is secular aortic aneurysm. Now you can see a shadow here, and you can see a hilar vessels. So this is not arising from hilum. And if you look in a lateral view, see, this is a posterior, this is the anterior mediastinum, this is middle mediastinum, this is a posterior mediastinum. So this is a mass arising from a posterior mediastinum. Now if you look, this is a trachea, this is carina angle, this is right bronchus, left bronchus. Is that clear? And this angle is carina angle, and this is a horizontal line which will tell you that this is the right hilum, this is the left hilum, and these are the breast shadow. So here, if you look in this, there is little prominence of a hilum, and same thing you can identify in a lateral shadow. So these are hilar adenopathy, lymph nodes enlargement in hilum. Now we go through what we call as, just before this I have already mentioned that if this hilum is pulled up, it will be because of a right upper lobe collapse. If this is pulled down, it is because of right lower lobe collapse. If this is pulled up, left upper lobe, pulled down, left lower lobe. Along with this, you will see the diaphragm pulled up in both upper lobe as well as lower lobe collapse. And here the diaphragm will be pulled up in a left upper lobe and left lower lobe collapse. So do look at those signs when you are looking at the collapse. We'll be showing you in a further X-rays. Now, there are 2 types of shadows which you can see in this lung fields. You try to look for the shadows in this lung field, which are radio-opaque or radiolucent shadows, or permutation combination of that. Opacity will be very classically seen in consolidation. Fluid, that is we call effusion, which can be water, hydrothorax, exudate effusion, blood hemothorax, empyema, chylothorax, urothorax, etc. The third condition which produces opacity is a collapse, fibrosis, thickened pleura. So these three groups will be the most common groups. Consolidation is in lung while effusion is in pleural cavity. Fibrosis and thickened pleura is again in a thickened pleura is a pleural cavity, while fibrosis can be there in a thickened pleural cavity, and collapse will be a part of the lung. So collapse, consolidation and fibrosis in a lung, effusion, thickened pleura and fibrosis of pleura in a pleural cavity. Now once in a while you come across a small opaque shadows, not a big area. So that can be because of what we call as a nodule, small size, little bigger than the nodule, we call mass. If there is a radio opacity with radiolucency, we call abscess if there is an horizontal fluid level, and if there is no fluid level but radiolucency boundary by a radio opaque border, we call abscess, and if there is a shadow inside that particular cavity, we call abscess or cavity, and if there is a shadow inside that particular ball like shadow, we call fungus ball or we call actinomycosis. If you see the opaque materials like tubes, wires, pacemakers, bones will be seen as a radio opaque. So these are the structure which will be radio opaque. While the shadow which contains lot of air like emphysema, pneumothorax, empty cavity, we call emphysematous bulla, that will be all containing air which will be radiolucent or we call translucency. And in case of a consolidation, in a radio opacity, you will see a little translucency which we call as an air bronchogram, and it is a characteristic of consolidation. Now these are the very useful picture. You should try to remember. If there is a radio opacity which is a well defined means you get a clear cut borders, etc. It will be collapse, pleural effusion, nodules or a mass. Why? You can't define the borders very clearly in consolidation, fibrosis, pulmonary edema, infiltration, interstitial fibrosis, ARDS, etc. So this will produce radio opacity. But this condition will have a well defined margin. This will be ill defined margin. But in a case of a radiolucency, excess of air, classical example, emphysema, pneumothorax means air in the pleural cavity with a collapse of the lung, combination of radio opacity with radiolucency on the top and horizontal fluid level, hydropneumothorax, emphysematous bulla, empty cavity, etc. So that will produce radiolucency, and this will have a radiolucency with radio opacity. So this is one picture which shows you very nicely. These small shadows, round shadow, we call nodule, more than 2 to 3 centimeter in size, we call mass. If there is a radiolucency, and in that radiolucency, radio opacity, ill-defined margin, you cannot mark out the border very clearly. But by and large, it is a triangular shadow, apex towards the hilum, and in that shadow, opaque shadow, you see a air bronchogram. These are air bronchogram. We call that as consolidation or we call pneumonia. If you see a thin lines, white lines, we call interstitial fibrosis or interstitial lung disease. And if there is a radio opacity, invariably there are no air bronchogram, and there is a shrinkage of a lung volume with shift of hilum, shift of trachea, shift of diaphragm, three structures towards the site of that shadow, collapse, or we call atelectasis. Again I am repeating, radio opacity, usually no air bronchogram, and along with that margins are very clear. Margins will be very clear. well defined margins with shift of hilum, shift of diaphragm and shift of trachea to the side of collapse. So in a collapse, diaphragm will be pulled up, in a lower lobe, hilum will be pulled down, trachea will be to the same side. Then it is classical, what we call as atelectasis, or we call collapse of the lung. So this will be the four conditions which will have a very clear cut way of identification. But if you see abnormal blackness, or we call as a radiolucency, that will be in a cavitary lesion like this. This will be radiolucent, surrounded by a little radio opacity. Or sometime you see a radio opaque, and in that you see a radiolucency, a round shadow, we call cavity. So that will be very peculiar, cavitary lesions. Or sometime you see only a thin margin, we call cyst. And if you see a little more prominent entire lung as a radiolucent, it is in case of an emphysema. And in case of a pneumothorax, you will have a radiolucency with collapse of the lung. You will be able to identify the borders of the lung. And in that lung, radio opacity with almost absent vascular marking and shift of trachea depending upon the pressure in the pleural cavity. If the pleural cavity is having a marked increase in pressure, we call tension pneumothorax, entire mediastinum with trachea will be pushed to the opposite side. So that will be that particular. Now we'll be showing you all those different things. This is in a case of tuberculosis, you can get a multiple different varieties. You can get fibrosis, you can get calcification, you can get consolidation, you can get cavity, you can have granuloma, you can have hilar lymphadenopathy, you can develop a pleural effusion, you can have a miliary shadow, you can have a pericardial effusion. This can be wide variety of presentation in a case of a tuberculosis. Any one of these permutation combination, or you can have a two things like pleural effusion with a cavity. There may be old calcified focus in the one lung, and you can have a other involvement like pleural effusion, consolidation, fibrosis, cavity, etc. depending upon that. Fibrosis, calcification and granulomas are usually in a chronic conditions, or usually in a healed variety. This is commonly in a healed variety. So try to look at that. Now we are showing you what you will see in a cavity. If it is an empty cavity, it will appear like this. Radiolucency surrounded by a thin border. And if there is an air fluid level, it is we call as an abscess. Neoplasm will be radio opaque shadow. Some neoplasm can be even radiolucent with little amount of radio opacity. There are what is called cavitating pneumonia. Means in a radio opacity you will see a small cavities. So that is cavitating pneumonias. You can have an infarct with a cavity, and rarely you can have a rheumatoid nodules. Cavity, if it is a thick wall, very common in an abscess, neoplasm, lymphomas, secondary metastasis, Wegener's granuloma, rheumatoid nodules. While a very, very thin wall, bulla, pneumatocyst, this two comes topmost on the list. And then you can think of a cystic bronchiectasis, hydrated cyst. So these are the common conditions where there is a very thin wall of a radiolucency. So you can identify those conditions. You can see here there is a radio opacity. There is a radio opacity border like this, and in between that you can see a little radiolucency. This is called air crescent. So in a cavity, this is a bulb, this is a fungus bulb, and this is called Aspergillus fumigatus, and we call that as a aspergilloma, means tumor formed because of aspergillus, that is fungus, and that is a characteristics. So to consider this. So this is a common thing, and this is very commonly seen because of a fungal infection in a person who has got pre-existing cavity, and there will be air crescent sign. Now, in a person who has got radiolucent, can contain blood, mucus, tumor or edema. We call airless lung. You can see here, this is airless lung and little less opaque. While if you see in an interstitial, vessels, lymphatic, bronchi, connective tissue, etc., they produce radiodense. You see a linear lines where lung is aerated, but because of a prominent interstitial tissue, it produces that radio dense lines, and this is characteristic of an interstitial. And in an alveolar, it will produce radiolucent usually, but this particular, you can see the radio opacity with little radiolucency. This will be in a airless lung. In an interstitial disease, you get a different patterns of radio opaque lines. You can get a linear lines peripheral or close to the hilum. You can have a reticular pattern. You can have a honeycomb pattern, or it is called reticular honeycomb pattern. You can have a mixture of reticular and nodular pattern. These are nodular, small nodules. So you can have a combination of these two, reticular and nodular together. So there is a reticular pattern with nodules, and this is a honeycomb appearance. So four different variety: linear, reticular, nodular, reticulo-nodular, and honeycomb. So these are all the different varieties of interstitial shadows you can see, and we put them into a common group, interstitial lung disease. And in a case of an alveolar disease, now you can see this, alveolar is filled with a fluid, so it appears radio opaque, and in that, because of the presence of air, you can see sometime air bronchogram. So air bronchogram will be seen in a patient with a consolidation, and when this is totally collapsed, you will see a clear cut margin, and rarely you will see a air bronchogram. And along with that collapse, trachea will be shifted, crowding of ribs, hilum lifted up or lifted down, depending upon which, in upper lobe lifted up, in lower lobe lifted down, diaphragm shifts, diaphragm will be shifted, crowding of ribs, trachea shifted to the same side. This will be the signs, characteristics of what we call as collapse of the lung. In a consolidation, you will not have trachea shift, no shift of hilum, no shift of diaphragm, no crowding of ribs. So look at these findings to differentiate consolidation from collapse. If you see a radiolucency, a triangular radiolucency, look at those particular findings. So here there is no shift of trachea, no shift of diaphragm, no shift of hilum, no crowding of rib. This is consolidation. So this is consolidation, or we call pneumonia. You can see again here air bronchogram. You can see a lines, interstitial fibrosis, and you look at this. Can you see this air bronchogram? Very clear. So when you see a air bronchogram with radio opacity, consolidation, while if you see a linear lines, depending upon the pattern, linear, reticular, nodular, reticulonodular, and honeycomb appearance. Honeycomb appearance in bronchiectasis. So depending upon that, you can see again interstitial lines. So this is interstitial disease. Now Celotes signs we will be discussing somewhere separately, one separate part. But in a lung is forming a border on both the sides of mediastinum with diaphragm and what we call as a chest wall. So any pathophysiology which produces radio opacity in lung will produce Celotes sign with upper mediastinum, we call as hilum, and right border of the heart in the right lung. Right diaphragm, lower lobe will produce with the right diaphragm. right hemidiaphragm. Costophrenic angle will be affected, and with a right costal or right margin, while left side, left hemidiaphragm with left lower lobe, lingular lobe with left ventricle, with hilum, left atrium will be upper lobe, aortic knuckle, upper lobe, etc. So, if you cannot demarcate the margin very clearly of a lung and of a mediastinum, we call Silhouette sign positive. And whenever there is a Silhouette sign, there is some pathology in the lung which is producing equal density in a X-ray as mediastinum or as diaphragm or as a chest wall. So try to look at those signs. And this already we will be discussing in a Silhouette signs, which part in a mediastinum or in a diaphragm and which lobes. Already we have discussed before in a Silhouette. So some structure comes in this contact. We call lung, chest wall will come in contact with pleural cavity, diaphragm will come in contact with the right lower lobe and pleural cavity, etc. And in that opacity, we have already told you there are few conditions which will be there which will produce opacity. In a case of pleura, fluid can be water, can be exudate, can be blood, can be pus, can be chyle, can be urine, etc. Or there can be pleural pathophysiology like mesothelioma, that is malignancy of pleura, or can be thickened pleura or calcified pleura, calcification of the pleura. While in a case of a mediastinum, cardiomegaly, tumors will increase the density. In a lung, collapse, consolidation, fibrosis. These three will produce radioopacity. So try to identify this condition which will produce Silhouette sign with mediastinal structure or with diaphragm. Once in a while, pneumonectomy will also produce a radioopacity, and that will interfere with the border of the heart. So identify those particular conditions. You can see here, there is a radioopacity on the right side. I cannot identify the dome of diaphragm, right costophrenic angle, right cardiophrenic angle, right atrium, right hilum, I cannot identify. Trachea is towards the right side. There is a little crowding of the ribs. This is right side collapse of the lung. Clear. So these are lot of conditions which can produce opacity in the lung and will produce Silhouette sign. This is lobar pneumonia. This is bilateral consolidation. This is collapse. This is fine nodulous shadows. This is reticular interstitial, reticular shadows. This is multifocal ill-defined shadow but not producing Silhouette sign. This is again a reticular shadow. This is multiple mass. You can see multiple mass but not producing a Silhouette sign. So look whether it is producing Silhouette sign or not. If it is producing Silhouette sign, it is either lung or pleura. Pleura will produce with a diaphragm and with a chest wall, while lung will have with a mediastinal, maybe with lower lobe with diaphragm and costophrenic angle. So try to identify that, you will be able to make out clearly. And we have already told you what are the different types of shadow which you come across. Okay, and we'll be showing you some of those. Now you can see here in a collapse. What you see in a collapse? Shift of trachea, shift of diaphragm, rib crowding, decrease in the lung volume, and along with that, in an opposite lung, not affected lung or the normal lung, you will have a compensatory hyperinflation, we call compensatory emphysema. So when you see all this thing together, it is a total collapse of the lung. Again repeating, shift of trachea to the same side, we call ipsilateral. Shift of mediastinum, shift of diaphragm, crowding of ribs, loss of lung volume, and opposite lung, compensatory emphysema. You can see a little more radiolucency, diaphragm pushed down little bit in favor of a complete collapse of the lung. In a case of a partial lung collapse, what you get will be showing you here. Say this is upper lobe collapse. In upper lobe collapse, trachea will be shifted to this side, diaphragm will be pulled up, hilum will be pulled up, there will be little crowding of the ribs. This will be peculiar in a case of a left upper lobe collapse. So this is a left upper lobe collapse. Trachea will be shifted little bit towards this side, mediastinum may be shifted, diaphragm pulled up, hilum will be pulled up, little crowding of the ribs, that will be the finding. In a small collapse, you may not see the shift of all these structures like trachea, hilum, diaphragm and mediastinum. You may not see. Similar way, say if there is a collapse in the right lower lobe, right middle lobe, this is right middle lobe. So in a right middle lobe collapse, trachea may be shifted little bit towards that side, diaphragm may be pulled up, hilum may be pulled, and you will see a dense shadow close to the right border of the heart. And in a lateral view, it will be seen over the heart. Can you see this? So this will be the collapsed part of the lung, close to the right border. And very rarely you see a air bronchogram in that. Here you can see a air bronchogram. By and large, air bronchogram is never seen in a case of a collapse. So this is a right lower lobe collapse with a little shift of a mediastinum, little shift of a trachea. Here even angle is obliterated. To differentiate from pleural effusion, we will have to look at the trachea. In a case of a collapse, you will see a sharp margin. What we call as a crescent shadow will be absent. In a pleural effusion, you will see that shadow. Costophrenic angle will be absent. And there will be no shift of trachea to the same side. While in a case of a collapse, there will be a shift of a trachea to the same side. So that helps you a lot to identify a collapse from pleural effusion. So you can see here, there is a dense shadow, radiopaque shadow. See the trachea is to that side, hilum is pulled up, diaphragm is partially pulled up, there will be little crowding of ribs. This is right upper lobe collapse, right upper lobe collapse. So try to identify, this is a right lower lobe collapse. You can see a clear cut margin, trachea to the same side, diaphragm I cannot make out, right border of the heart I cannot make out, costophrenic angle also I cannot make out. This is a breast margin, this is collapse. So this is a right lower lobe collapse. This is, you can see a shadow, radiopaque shadow, trachea in the center, no shift of diaphragm, and in that shadow you can see a air bronchogram. You can see a small black lines. This is called air bronchogram. So characteristics of consolidation: ill-defined margin, not clear cut. Here I cannot make out the margin. Radiopaque shadow, no shift of trachea, no shift of diaphragm, no shift of mediastinum, no shift of hilum. Usually costophrenic angle clear, usually clear, right, in upper lobe, and you see a air bronchogram in favor of what we call as a consolidation, and there is no loss of lung volume. Again you can see a air bronchogram very clearly, air bronchogram very clearly. So that is in favor of a consolidation. Again you can see air bronchogram, very clear air bronchogram. So if you see a shadow, no shift of trachea, no shift of diaphragm, hilum, mediastinum, and no decrease in the lung volume with air bronchogram, in favor of consolidation. Now, in a case of ARDS, it is a bilateral shadow, diffuse bilateral shadow, homogeneous opacity, homogeneous opacity. By and large, there is no cardiomegaly. If there is a cardiomegaly, rule out congestive heart failure. And plus, you will not see curly A lines and curly B lines. Now, it is very difficult to differentiate curly A lines and curly B lines. But if you see a bilateral shadow, no cardiomegaly, and there are homogeneous shadows with characteristics, hypoxia, etc., we'll call that as ARDS. You will suspect ARDS. Now, if you look here, there is a radiopacity. There is a slight shift of trachea to the opposite side, slight shift of mediastinum also to the opposite side. And this radiopacity has got this, what we call as a crescent sign, or we call meniscus sign. Meniscus sign. Can you see this meniscus sign? This is meniscus. And that side, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle, you cannot make out. That border you cannot make out. Diaphragm, curvature you cannot make out. This has to be pleural effusion. And when, because of a pleural effusion, if there is a shift, we usually use the word massive pleural effusion. Here also you can see a slight shift of trachea to the opposite side. Mediastinum is shifted to the opposite side. So this is massive pleural effusion. Loss of cardiophrenic angle. Diaphragm you cannot make out. That side, cardiac silhouette you cannot make out. And you get a meniscus sign. Meniscus. And it is a homogeneous density. Is that clear? You can see a clear-cut shift of mediastinum to the opposite side. Trachea is shifted to the opposite side. Can you see that? Trachea is shifted to opposite side. Mediastinum is shifted. Homogeneous density. Here, because this complete hemithorax is filled with fluid, you cannot see even that meniscus sign. So, this is massive pleural effusion. Now here, you can see the right border of the mediastinum. Right border of the heart, right hilum. This is superior vena cava, and this is the right border of a upper mediastinum. And this chest wall, you cannot demarcate clearly. Costophrenic angle you cannot demarcate, and this is showing you a typical border. We call convex. This is loculated pleural effusion, loculated or encysted pleural effusion, loculated or encysted. And this lateral part of diaphragm you cannot identify. So lateral portion of diaphragm silhouette is lost. Clear? So you can say silhouette sign here, silhouette sign here. Okay. So it is called encysted, encapsulated or loculated pleural effusion. Again you can see here, this portion of diaphragm I cannot make out, costophrenic angle I cannot make out, this border of the costal margin I cannot make out, and you can see this shape, peculiar shape, we call convex margin. So this is what we call as encysted, encapsulated or loculated pleural effusion. Now if you see a radiopacity with a horizontal fluid level, air fluid level. So this is radiolucency, this is radiopacity. So this is air, this is fluid. Hydro, pneumothorax. This is hydro, this is pneumothorax. So you cannot identify the diaphragm, you cannot identify the costal margin, and mediastinal border also I cannot identify. So this is a fluid. And here I see a radiolucency. So this is hydro, pneumothorax on right side. And if it is massive, it will push mediastinum plus trachea to the opposite side. Now if you look here, can you see this border? This is a part of the lung. This is a part of the lung. And beyond this, you see a radiolucency, but you cannot see the lung markings. That is we call vascular markings. So this is because of pneumothorax. This is because of pneumothorax. Well, if you see this particular, A arrow is shown here. This is not because of lung border. Beyond that also you can see a vascular marking. Look this and look this. This is because of the skin fold. This is because of skin fold. Sometimes this is mistaken as pneumothorax. So always look for these findings. Can you see clearly here the margin of lung? You can see a double shadow in a diaphragm. So this is called double diaphragm, or we call dome of diaphragm. You can see two separate domes of diaphragm. Is it clear? This is costophrenic angle and it is little deep. So this is called deep sulcus sign. This is deep sulcus sign and double diaphragm sign. I can see this diaphragm and this is another diaphragm. So this is called double diaphragm signs, deep sulcus sign, and you can see this border of the lung. So this is pneumothorax. But this pneumothorax is not adequate enough to push the mediastinum to the opposite side and trachea to the opposite side. But in a case of a tension pneumothorax, you will see the entire mediastinum is pushed to the opposite side. You can see the border of lung here. It is already marked by white lines. This is hilum. And beyond this line, you cannot see the vascular marking. So this is pneumothorax. This is pneumothorax. You can see a deep sulcus sign. And see this side. So there is a pneumothorax here, producing a deep sulcus sign. Now here, identify what it is. Opacity, shift of mediastinum to opposite side, shift of trachea to the opposite side, mediastinum to the opposite side, diaphragm you cannot identify, left border of the heart you cannot identify, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle, costophrenic angle, cardiophrenic angle you cannot identify, and you cannot see any other part of the left border of the mediastinum. Massive pleural effusion. Now, such way you try to argue out in all this other. Have a pause, give the answer for this, why, give the answer for this, and then look at the diagnosis. Again, have a pause, something is mentioned on the X-ray plates, why, answer that on a paper, take a paper, answer that, and then write down the answer and compare it. Why this is right side pleural effusion. Now compare your answer. Same way. What is it? What is this? What is this? Try to answer. Have a pause. Wait for a while and then only switch it. You will get the answer. And then compare why. You are right or wrong. Try to find out. So I am putting one by one. This is quiz for you. This is directly it is an explanation that left hilum is depressed, right heart border is shifted, there is an elevation of the left hemidiaphragm. So if you get such things, what is the possibility? So that you should try to identify. So shift of hilum, this hilum is depressed down, diaphragm is pulled up. So it has to be due to a collapse in a upper lobe. Is that clear? Or collapse in a lower lobe. If this hilum is pulled up, it is upper lobe. If hilum is pulled down, it is lower lobe. So look at those particular findings. Trachea will be to the same side of the disease. So that will be in a case of a collapse. Left lingular lobe collapse. This is left upper lobe collapse. So try to identify. This is the lateral view and this is a AP view. Why? You answer. Again, answer why. Already it is mentioned. This is interstitial disease. Yes, it will be a closed differential diagnosis for consolidation. This looks like a air bronchogram. But why it is interstitial disease, you will have to answer. This is Costophrenic angle are lost, Silotis signs, and what are the possibility? What is here? What is here? Try to answer. What is answer in this case? What is answer in this case? What is answer in this case? Why? Answer those things. You will be able to differentiate all these different conditions. So these are all quiz for you. Then this is one odd condition which I mentioned before. In a case of a pulmonary infarct, you get pulmonary vessel you cannot identify here. And this is a triangular shadow. This is called Hampton's hump. And here what you get is called Westmark sign. So some other time we'll be dealing with that. So if you see a radio opacity in an apical lobe, it may be because of pleural cap, pleural fluids, bulla, Pancoast tumor, in a case of a pneumothorax, tuberculosis, etc. You see some apical shadows. In a case of a pneumothorax, you will see a radiolucency. In bulla, you will see a radiolucency. Pleural fluid will be opaque. Calcified pleura caps we call radio opacity. And in case of a tuberculosis also, you will see a radio opacity. And if you want to see much better apical lobe, you will have to take what we call as a lordotic view. Lordotic view, or we call apical view. So have that clavicle will be separated out. So you will be able to see the apical lobe much better. So try to get that. You can see here, this is a calcified shadow. This is because of calcified pleura. And this will be very common following tuberculosis, most common in India. First, tuberculosis. Second common, you come across in occupational lung disease. Very common in case of asbestosis. And that is one of the cause for even mesothelioma, that is pleural malignancy. And if a hemothorax heals, it can get calcified. Or pyothorax, when it heals, it can get calcified. That is we call pyothorax or empyema. That can also get calcified. And very rarely, osteosarcoma of the pleura, that can extraskeletal osteosarcoma of pleura can also produce calcification. But the most common, first is tuberculosis, second common asbestosis, then comes calcification in a healing process in a hemothorax and in case of empyema. Do look at that particular. You can see little calcification here. This you can get in a silicosis. Again, occupational lung disease. You can see a breast shadows. And these are calcified shadows. This can be mistaken for a lung malignancy, can be mistaken as a lymph nodes, and quite frequently it is diagnosed as malignancy. You can see a thickened little calcified plaques in pleura. This will be very commonly in case of occupational lung disease, again, asbestosis, etc. You can see a little thickened conditions, pleural plaques. You can see here, calcified pleura. This can be in a tuberculosis, hemothorax, healed by calcification, or empyema, healed by calcification. You can see a little plaques here, calcified shadows. Again, this can be in those conditions. When we see a multiple small round shadows, multiple shadows, it looks like this. This is miliary. So when you see this miliary type of a shadow, this is because of disseminated miliary tuberculosis. Now, if you look here, this is a border. Look on this lung fields, look at this lung fields. Here, this is radiolucency. You cannot see a vascular marking. Here you can see a vascular marking. This is a collapsed lung. Trachea is shifted to the opposite side. Mediastinum is shifted to opposite side. Diaphragm here. Trachea is shifted. Diaphragm is not pulled up. So there is no decrease in the lung volume. So there is a positive pressure which is pushing the mediastinum to opposite side. And radiolucency, pneumothorax. And you can see a deep sulcus sign. Can you see clear? Deep sulcus sign. So this is typical of pneumothorax on right side. And as it is pushing the entire mediastinum and trachea to the opposite side, tension, pneumothorax. Now you can see on this side, look at this and look at this, radiolucency. This is a collapsed lung. And in that collapsed lung, you can see there is no vascular marking at all. This is what we call as a pulmonary oligemia. Here, no vascular marking. You can see here, vascular markings are seen. And because of this, there's a little shift of trachea to the opposite side. The mediastinum is not much shifted. Slight shift towards the right side. Slight shift, not major. And look at the diaphragm, pushed down. Pushed down. So if a diaphragm is pushed down, trachea shifted to opposite side, collapse of the lung, decreased lung volume, no vascular marking in that collapsed lung, and shift of mediastinum, pneumothorax. So this is a pneumothorax. And this is not a massive shift. So this is not a tension pneumothorax. Again, same. You can see the border of the lung, collapsed lung, radio opacity. This is radiolucency. You can see a vascular marking. Compare this and this. This is translucent, or we call radiolucent. No vascular marking. This is a border of the collapsed lung. And in that collapsed lung, you cannot see a vascular marking clearly. So this is a collapsed lung. There is not much shift of a trachea, not much shift of a mediastinum. So this is not a tension pneumothorax. Again, similar. You can see this border. This is translucency and absence of vascular marking. That is collapsed lung. Deep sulcus sign. Now you have to answer all those. Again, same. Answer what it is. Take a pen, paper, and answer, and then only look at the answer what is mentioned, and answer why. If you find difficulty, you can ask me anytime. So this is again, try to answer. This is during inspiration. Try to answer this, what it is. It is mentioned here, but answer why. Again, try to have a look at this. Why? Yes, I'll just explain this part. Now if you look here in this particular, this is diaphragm, this is mediastinum. And can you see in this mediastinum, there is something which is producing horizontal air fluid level. Whenever you see a air fluid level in a mediastinal shadow, this is a mediastinum. Always suspect. Can you see this horizontal fluid level? Always suspect hiatus hernia. Very, very important. Again, try to answer what it is. Why? If it is written, this is called vanishing lung because you can't see a bronchovascular marking. Dome of diaphragm is markedly pushed down. Bilateral, what we call is a radiolucency. This is given a name, vanishing lung. And this is a pacemaker wire. Pacemaker, and this is a pacemaker wire. A single chamber pacing. Done. Now here, it is little difficult, but if you see, this is a border of the lung. So this is a border of the lung. So when you see such, and this area is radiolucent. So this is a small pneumothorax. Difficult to identify, but if you try to look at it properly, you will be able to identify. And you will see that shadow is going right up to here. So if you see unilateral hypertranslucency, look for emphysema, look for pneumothorax. And here you can see a margin of a breast shadow here. On this side you cannot identify. So right side mastectomy has been done, and the most common cause for mastectomy is malignancy. So always look for that. This is what we call as a BLEPS, or we call as emphysematous bulla. You can see a round shadow, radiolucency, radiopacity, and air fluid level. And whenever you see this, you label that as an abscess. But if you don't see your air fluid level and you see a round shadow, then we call as an empty cavity. You can see multiple. 1, 2, 3. So multiple abscesses. You can see a cavity. You can see a cavity here. You can see a cavity with a air fluid level. So we call this as an abscess. Here it is not filled with the fluid, air fluid level, so this is called cavity. But along with that, there is a little haziness around that, and there is an air bronchogram. So this is pneumonia, and in that pneumonic shadow, there is a cavity formation. So this is pneumonia with cavitation, or we call cavitating pneumonia. You can see a horizontal fluid level, but that is extending from here till here. You cannot differentiate abscess or hydropneumothorax. So take a lateral picture. If you take a lateral picture, if you see the extension from sternum right till vertebra, it will be hydropneumothorax. It will be hydropneumothorax. But if you see it stops before that, this is abscess. So if you see this shape, it is an abscess. But if you see on the left side below the diaphragm, it is a gastric bubble in a stomach fundus. Right lung abscess, this is left side hydropneumothorax. You can see this. See this. This is gas in the fundus part. This is gas in the fundus part, and there is a horizontal fluid level, but does not extend to the border. Does not extend here. So this is not hydropneumo. This is abscess. Yes, answer that way. Again, look at this big flap. This is called bulla, and this is hydropneumo. This is abscess. This is hydrated cyst. Now you can see in this cavity like there's a little lily sign. This is called water lily sign. That will be typical in a case of again hydrated cyst. This is a ball in a cavity. It is called fungus ball or aspergilloma. This is a fungus ball in a cavity. This is called aspergilloma, and this black line is called air crescent sign. This is water lily sign. This is a cavity in a hydrated cyst, and this is called water lily sign. These are pulmonary nodules. A big size you call mass, small size you call nodule. This is a big size. More than 3 centimeter you call mass. So this is a big mass. By and large, it will be malignancy. This is small nodule, maybe hematoma. A calcified nodule, chondrosarcoma or calcified metastasis. Popcorn, looks like popcorn. It is very common in hematomas. Calcified shadow. This is lingular disease will be here. This is left lower lobe disease, and this is right lower lobe disease, and there is one more here, one more shadow here, and this is close to your mediastinum. This is right paratracheal shadow. So multiple shadow like this, do suspect malignancy. Do suspect malignancy. You can see a big shadow here. This is mass. This is a big mass here, close to the border, left border of the heart. Take a lateral view, look at it is in anterior, middle or posterior, and try to identify. This has to be in a pulmonary, has to be in a mediastinum. Left pulmonary mass. Multiple shadow like this, always suspect malignancy and secondary metastasis. Small miliary shadow, miliary tuberculosis. Again, typical, very, very typical. Try to answer why. Now I am going little faster. You can see multiple air fluid level. This can happen also in a case of a silicosis. These are not multiple abscesses. So history becomes very important in that case. Multiple abscesses, pneumatocysts. Look at these different x-rays and try to answer why. This is interstitial lung disease. Aspergilloma, halo sign. You can see here for air crescent sign. halo sign or air crescent sign. This is aspergilloma. Multiple thin wall cavity. This is secondary metastasis. Cavitary metastasis. What is this? And you can see this sutures. These are multiple small round shadows. Pulmonary hemorrhage. And what is this? It is a foreign material. This is surgical emphysema. I have shown you before in a soft tissue. You can see a radiolucent. This is along the pectoral muscles, and multiple black shadows you can see all along the subcutaneous tissue, and that is in a case of a surgical emphysema. Again, you can see a black shadows, subcutaneous tissue, surgical emphysema. This is a small mass close to the chest wall. So this has to be extrapleural. And you can see this is looks like a loculative. So this is outside the pleura. So that is extrapleural mass. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be helpful to you.